Hey church, Pastor Shane here with another community group discussion starter video. This week we actually took a break from our normal work in Judges as we've been walking through that and did something a little bit different. Over the last, couple weeks, a month or so, been a lot of hard prayer requests coming. A lot of people really dealing with a lot of stuff. And as I talked to people, I just felt that people kept saying this phrase, is that their hearts were heavy. That their hearts were heavy. And so I decided, as I was praying about it, Lord, let's take a quick second from Judges and just talk about crying out to you in our times of needs. And so we went through a psalm of lament, Psalm 77, to just kind of walk through what it looks like for us to cry out to God and learn what we can from that psalm so that we might learn to lament in the same way when we need to. Because when we lament in our time of trouble or when our hearts are heavy, we long for something, it produces hope in us, which is amazing. So I simply just walked through Psalm 77 and we talked about the fact that lament has 4 parts. And they don't have to be exact. Some are weighted more than others. But in general, it has 4 parts. An address or a cry out to God. A complaint or lament is the second part. And then that complaint or lament turns to then a confession or trust in God, because He is the one that is going to help in our time of trouble. And then either a request for deliverance or actually a kind of telling of God's deliverance at the end, because sometimes these psalms are written after the fact and the psalmist can look back and say, hey, look, and God delivered me. And so we're going to just talk about some questions today about lamenting, about crying out to God, about trusting in, about crying out honestly without turning to bitterness, to cry out honestly and really go to Him with our problems and place our trust in Him so that it produces hope in our lives. And as you work through these questions on the back here, and some in Psalm 77 and some of the other Psalms of lament and others talking about how God helps the hurting, if you are in a spot or your group is in a spot where you are lamenting, then maybe take that time. Take that time in your group to lament, to pray to God together, because ultimately these psalms, or they are songs of God's people, they're very much actually prayers to God's people, or the prayers from God's people to their God. And so my prayer for you is that God will lift up your heavy heart and He would allow you to lament if you need to lament, and rejoice if you're in a season of rejoicing. We'll talk to you soon.